Coming up.
Woman in stepping from the pedestal of statue-like inactivity in the domestic shrine and daring to think and move and speak.
The life and thought of Anna Julia Cooper.
To undertake to help shape, mold, and direct the thought of her age is merely completing the circle of the world's vision.
None of us are free. None of us are free. None of us are free. One of us is chained. None of us are free.
Can anyone be free before everyone is free?
Should oppressed minorities assimilate into the wider society, or is it better to stick together?
How do race, class, and gender intersect?
Our guest is Kathryn Sophia Belle, founding director of the Collegium of Black Women Philosophers.
Anna Julia Cooper, coming up on Philosophy Talk.
You know, Josh, I think we've teased these people long enough.
With the starters, that's a classic move, Ray. Introduce the problem, pique people's curiosity, and leave them wanting more.
Well, they can have more. The paywall is finally down. We've unlocked the entire 20-year Philosophy Talk archive.
So every guest interview and every full-hour conversation is now completely free?
Every single one. So I think we should tell them.
If you're tired of the appetizer and want the full feast, head on over to our main feed. Just search your app for Philosophy Talk.
And now, on with the show. Should everyone get a liberal education?
If you want to tackle racism, do you have to tackle sexism at the same time?
Can anyone be free until everyone is free?
Welcome to Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything.
Except your intelligence. I'm Ray Briggs.
And I'm Josh Landy. We're coming to you via the studios of KLW San Francisco Bay Area.
Continuing conversations that begin at Philosopher's Corner on the Stanford campus, where Josh teaches philosophy.
And at the University of Chicago, where Ray teaches philosophy.
Today, we're kicking off Season 2 of our Wise Women series, generously supported by a grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities. We're thinking about the life and thought of Anna Julia Cooper.
Anna Julia Cooper is such a fascinating figure. She was only the fourth African American in history to earn a PhD, which she managed after being born into slavery. And then she lived into the 1960s. So she witnessed Reconstruction, Jim Crow, and the Civil Rights Movement.
She also wrote a really important book called A Voice from the South. It influenced a whole bunch of later thinkers, like Frederick Douglass and W.E.B. Du Bois.
Right, she anticipated a ton of things that Du Bois went on to say later, like the idea of double consciousness. So Cooper said that in a racist society, black people end up seeing themselves through the eyes of their oppressors. That's what Du Bois called double consciousness. You see yourself your own way, but also someone else's way. And that can be hugely demoralizing.
She also anticipated Du Bois's idea that liberal education should be available to everyone. She didn't think it was enough to send black kids to vocational training, even if it would get them a good job. She thought they also deserve access to the life of the mind.
Right, and she totally practiced what she preached. She was a high school teacher herself for many years, working at a public school in Washington, D.C. She offered a classical education to generations of kids.
And she was really good at it. Many of her students ended up getting into prestigious schools like Princeton and Harvard.
You know, Ray, I have to say I'm with Anna Julia Cooper on this. I think everyone should get to learn Greek and Latin.
Everyone? What about people who hate Greek and Latin? What about people whose talents are in carpentry or engineering and not ancient languages? Don't you want them to be happy in school and make a living afterwards?
You sound like Booker T. Washington. He famously argued with Du Bois about that very question, and I think Du Bois kind of mopped the floor with him with his fantastic line, "The true college will ever have one goal, not to earn meat, but to know the end and aim of that life which meat nourishes."
Oh, come on, Josh, that's not fair. Look, Washington said, "No race can prosper until it learns that there is as much dignity in tilling a field as in writing a poem." Are you such a snob that you don't see the wisdom in that?
Well, I do get that, and to be fair, Cooper did too. She was really keen to make the full range of knowledge accessible to anyone who wanted it, but she also said this, and I love this so much: if a boy hates Greek and Latin and spends all his time whittling out steamboats, it is rather foolish to try to force him into the classics.
Aha, so it sounds like Cooper agreed with me. Not everyone should learn Greek and Latin.
Well, Cooper thought everyone should have the chance to, and their chances shouldn't be based on their race.
Or their gender. Cooper was really ahead of her time and thinking about how race and gender interact. She was actually really critical of some Black leaders of her time for only paying attention to the problems they faced as men and just leaving women behind. She believed that Black women deserve a public voice. They should not be confined to the home.
And if those women did get out into the public sphere, they weren't just doing themselves a favor, they were doing everyone a favor. In Cooper's view, Black women can see things about society that nobody else can. The entire society desperately needs their voices.
Well, that sounds like something philosophers still believe today. There's a whole field of study called standpoint epistemology based on exactly that insight.
Sounds like we have a lot to talk about with our guest. It's Kathryn Sophia Belle, founding director of the Collegium of Black Women Philosophers.
Among her many accomplishments, Anna Julia Cooper was appointed principal at M Street, the prestigious public high school for Black education in Washington, D.C. But her rise there was followed by vicious attacks.
So we sent our roving philosophical reporter, Holly J. McDeed, to investigate. She files this report.
You are directly defying a mandate.
How can you suggest such educational opportunities are beyond Negro students' intellectual capacity?
As a bit of friendly advice, watch your back.
That's from the trailer for Tempestuous Elements, a play about Anna Julia Cooper's tenure as the principal of M Street High School in Washington, D.C.
It's really this kind of radical experiment in Black community-led education in the nation's capital.
Shirley Moody Turner wrote about this in an opinion piece for the Washington Post, titled How the Black Female Head of a Top D.C. School Was Punished for Leading.
There was a Black superintendent of Black schools in Washington, so it really had a high degree of autonomy in hiring its teachers, its staff, in deciding on its curriculum. And so it's really this kind of utopian moment in Black education.
Moody Turner is a professor of English and African American Studies at Penn State University. She also edited a collection of Cooper's essential essays. When Cooper arrived at M Street in 1887, she taught Latin and mathematics. She gave lectures, and she wrote the book A Voice from the South.
Today, America counts her millionaires by the thousand. Questions of tariff and questions of currency are the most vital ones agitating the public mind.
It's really seen now as this foundational text of Black feminist thought.
Women's work and women's influence are needed as never before, needed to bring a heart power into this money-getting, dollar-worshipping civilization, needed to bring a moral force into the utilitarian motives and interests of the time, needed to stand for God and home and native land versus gain and greed and grasping selfishness.
But in the early 1900s, amid the rise of Jim Crow segregation, things really start to shift. M Street goes through a restructuring and falls under the direct supervision of a white director of high schools.
And so that really changes. That kind of restructuring is intentional in trying to wrest control over M Street out of the hands of the Black community. And the Black community is aware of what's happening and is trying to find ways to fight back and resist.
Cooper's students are highly successful. They outscore students from white high schools on citywide tests. They go to Ivy League colleges and universities.
So she's doing all of these things, and it just runs really counter to what this new administration is trying to do, which is to derail the classical education at M Street.
Pretty early into her tenure, the rumors start. Allegations that she cannot maintain control of her students, that she's advancing students who do not deserve to graduate, and that she's having an affair with one of the teachers.
Married women could not maintain their positions, and single women were under constant scrutiny. So she kind of is in this liminal space already as an unmarried but widowed woman. So those kinds of attacks really tried to exploit what her critics saw as a vulnerability.
Ultimately, the DC Board of Education removed her from the position of principal. But the liberal arts curriculum, focusing on math, literature, languages, science, was saved.
I think very much it's a part of what she sees as a personal and social transformation, that engaging at the level of ideas brings one to certain truths about themselves, about society. It helps prepare them to participate in these broader conversations. And so I think she thought that was really critical.
Moody Turner writes that it's worth revisiting Cooper's case as an example of Black women punished for leading.
What's also really fascinating to me about Anna Julia Cooper is there's a survey of college Negro graduates in 1930, and they ask all of these questions about your education and what you would have done differently. And so there's a question like, well, what would you have done differently?
And her response boiled down to?
Nothing. I wouldn't have done anything differently. You know? She's like, I think that if circumstances were different, I would have adjusted myself to deal with those circumstances just as I've done this time around. Like, I wouldn't, like, what do you mean?
Cooper would do exactly what she did the first time. That degree of confidence and self-assuredness threatened to derail her, but it also sustained her. For Philosophy Talk, I'm Holly J. McDede.
Want to hear more? You can find the complete episode on iTunes Music, or for unlimited listening, become a subscriber at philosophytalk.org.